Happy Wednesday, y'all. Stoked to have Anthony on today. We're going to actually go through his scrubbing process. So his scrubbing process is a little more in depth than what most people do. But he's getting like insane ROI off it basically, because what he does is he basically goes through a list and he skinnies it down from like, call it 1,000 records. He'll skinny it down to like 400 records, and he only looks for the best properties, no landlocked, all that stuff. Awesome what he's doing, and he's really crushing it. He'll talk more into it. I think Sumner, I did a video a couple weeks back talking to him about all this stuff, so we wanted to bring him on today and go a little bit more in depth in his scrubbing process. Awesome thing is if you're on Land Insights, what Anthony's process is basically replicated inside Land Insights now. It's automated for you. You just upload everything and then boom, hit a few buttons and you're good to go. And it'll scrub out all the stuff that we're going to talk about today. So this is why like a feature like Anthony spends tons of time doing this. And Land Insights could basically speed that up for you, which is awesome. So I wanted to show you guys real quick the Land Insights. We put out this free tool right here. See this banner, Land Insights free extension. Go to landinsights.com/Chrome. And I'll show you real quick what this looks like, because I use this all the time. If you guys have ever used the Pebble extension, it's similar to that, but it's a lot better, because what I like about this is if you go here, you could click this thing, toggle this on and off, only enable land only filter. This will always turn on land only in here, in this little filter right here. So it'll always make sure you don't have any houses or whatever, which is awesome. Now, another cool thing is you can turn that off. It does a filter for Redfin and Zillow. But here's the best part. Okay. Now, if you're scrolling through here, you can see this right here. This is Coweta, Georgia. Sold 185, 6 acres. Boom. 30K an acre. Scroll down, 28K an acre, 20K an acre. It just shows it right here. Now, let's say I'll go to another county. Let's just do Anderson County, South Carolina. Okay. Doesn't matter where you are in the country, it will show you right there. 200,000, 10 acres, 20K an acre. It just speeds up your process. So whenever you're doing anything, it's super fast just to look at this real quick and just be like, oh, look at that. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. I just know how much everything is trading for per acre. I can adjust everything in here. I go 4 to 10. I could go, 10 to 20. Whatever I want. Now, this is totally free. No gimmies, no checks, no whatever the hell's. We're not trying to get you on anything. But this is 100% free. Landinvestor.co. The landinsights.co. Landinsights.co/Chrome. You can see right here. This is it. Boom. It'll just show you everything. Instantly price per acre. No panel and land only filter. Sold data filter on MLS. Automatically selects it. So it's awesome. Check it out. It's completely free. It works on redfinzillowland.com. You don't have to worry about it. It's awesome. Another thing too, let's talk about this, is landinvestor.co/PA. All right, so I get asked, I probably got like 6 DMs alone this past week, just asking for my PA. I'm not giving out my PA. This is my PA right here. Still my purchase agreement. Landinvestor.co/PA. It's right here. Take it from here. I'm not trying to hide anything behind the curtains. This is it. This is my PA. It's what I'm using right here. Go here, landinvestor.co/PA. It's 100% free. Free. This is free. It's all free. Go grab it. It's there. This is the site you could always get it at. So awesome. We're going to bring Anthony up, and we're going to see if we could do some live scrubbing now. Anthony, what's going on? How we doing?
Yeah. Doing good. How about you, man?
Good. Stoked. We just had actually got to run some documents to FedEx now. We just have a closing today. It was a double close, and then we have another 2 lined up next week. So
Just out
rolling.
of curiosity, how
Mhm.
many? This is one thing I think we should actually kind of poll the group and just kind of get a rough number of like when we get double closes, how many of them do we actually end up closing, or how many contracts fail, like or the sales
Mhm.
just don't actually finalize, just to have some data to base it off of, so you're not surprised if something happens. Because
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious. If something I was talking to someone else about, it's like that'd be kind of cool to ask the group and just get rough numbers on how many are actually executed.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. I think we should go through with that because I'll say with me, I don't really do a lot of double closes per se. I will list the deal and I basically test the market. And if I don't get
Okay.
any like good responses in, 30, 60, 90 days, whatever the case may be, depending on long my contract is, then I'll decide, okay, if I have nothing in 60 days, not even like a walk on the property, I'm
Yep.
probably not going to buy that deal. So I'm either going to go renegotiate or cancel it, and I'll just
Got
make
it.
my decision, unless it's like really pretty or whatever the case may be. Um, but this one was like the epitome of perfect double close.
Yeah.
It was like a buy for 53, and it got listed, and within like I think a day or two, we had two offers for cash. For
Wow.
one was at 90K and one was at 100K full ask. And they were like
Okay.
bidding with each other, and it was like ridiculous. So we're like, we took the 90K because it was cash, and then the other guy that was 100K, or no, then we got a third offer the next day later that was 100K cash, but we already went with the 90K, and I'm
Yeah.
like, let's just stick with it. And then it was actually good. We stuck with it because they tried to pull a couple things, like, hey, let's do this, hey, let's do that, and we're like, look, we have another offer at 100K, we'll just take that one. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, 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 we really want it, we really want it. So, and within like less than like 20 days from signed agreement to closing, it's
Beautiful.
like 20 days. It's like
Yeah.
24K profit or something like that
That's
with
after
realtor.
expenses, or is that just net spread?
That's after realtor, everybody.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah. Can't
yeah,
complain.
pretty cool.
20 days, 24 grand. Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 a day. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so I'm working with Aaron on that one. Aaron, this is his first deal that's going full cycle. So he's super stoked for it, just to be able to do that. And it's crazy because he's closing this deal while he's in Israel right now.
Wow.
So
Wow. That's
pretty
awesome.
cool. First deal, he's out of over the, out of country and everything like that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
How does that
Yeah,
work with the executing the agreements? And
good question.
yeah,
So yes, it could be done. He could execute the agreements. It just take more time. So in the interest of making things go faster, he designated me as the signer. So I'm
got
the
it.
designator signer for the agreement. So he basically had to send the document over to the title and say, hey, Dennis is the designated signer for this purchase. So I got a document that I had to sign, get notarized, and then now I just got everything signed and notarized today. Soup to nuts, we're done.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
And I actually have a local neighbor who's a notary. So she does my notary stuff, which is
There you
like,
go.
I could get it done cheaper or free at the bank, but like I could just pop in at like 9 o'clock at night and be like, hey, sign these docs. And she's like, okay, cool. And we
Yep.
just do
Yeah.
it.
Walk
So
down the road.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
It
I
definitely
bet.
makes sense to do that. So befriend people or make people that are your neighbors become notaries. It's definitely going to help you, especially if you're doing like 10 deals a month. That's like 20 times you need a notary per month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you'd be hurting.
Yeah. Right now I
Um,
got a double close active in Texas, and great interest on it, but it's got power lines on it. We're priced, I feel like, very well. Views and saves are just off the charts relative to other properties in the area. Nothing's materialized yet, and I might do a price reduction. It's been almost 30 days on market now, so I really want to see something, but we'll see what happens.
yeah, I know I've talked to a couple of people that where every like 14 to 21 days, they just do like a 3% price reduction.
Okay.
That's like their standard. And I'm like, oh, it kind of makes sense. I have one that we bought. We listed it high above the comps just because we were trying to push comps. We bought it for 145. We listed at 425, and comps are 350. So we're like, let's just push it because the other
Yep.
one sold in 2 weeks at 350. Like it's direct comp. Well, let's just push it. We pushed it, and we got a lot of interest and a lot of walking, but nobody came together with an offer.
Yep.
So I dropped to 25K like right off the bat. Actually,
Yep.
no, I dropped to 30K right off the bat. Like in 2 weeks, dropped to 30K. And all of a sudden, it was like people were coming out of the woodwork to go see it again.
Got it.
So sometimes it's good to do a really aggressive drop and just let people like get flushed. So we have somebody walking it Thursday, hopefully making an offer. And if they don't make an offer, then I'm going to drop it another 50K and bring it. That's going to put it right to where the
Right
comps
on,
are,
yeah.
350. It'll be 345, which is like right where the comps are. So it's still good. I mean, that's still 200K profit. We
Yeah,
bought it
that's
for
awesome.
145. It's a great
Yeah.
freaking deal, no matter what.
Yeah.
But I was trying to push. I'm like, if I can make an extra 75, might as well try, right?
Yep.
You know, if I don't, I'm still in this thing in a good number. So
Yeah, exactly. You're safe no matter what. But
yeah, exactly. So all right, cool. Let's try sharing
good.
your screen and see how it works.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm on Chrome now, so
All right, cool.
should be good to go. Ooh, this looks like it's already working better.
Yes.
You guys seeing data tree right now?
Yep, I see data tree.
Perfect.
All right,
So yeah,
I'm gonna let Anthony kind of narrate this, but he's basically gonna show you like his scrubbing process when on data tree. Now this can be done off data tree as well, and it can be done in Land Insights. I think you go a little bit above and beyond what most people do.
definitely.
I know you go above and beyond. And you kind of scrub, I guess, in a way that I kind of scrub too. And we'll talk about that later. But I will say this is something like if you have a minimalist budget, being really selective on the types of properties you're mailing is going to really help you stretch that budget. So like if you only have
Absolutely.
like $1,000 a month, well, you can't just mail the whole county, right? So you're going to have to pick and choose. You could probably mail 400 really good records a month at $1,000, or no,
Yeah.
what, $1,000 a month? Yeah, probably with data, yeah, everything. Yeah, probably 500 records a month. I'd say, right?
I think no, it's like probably all in. We're probably almost 60 cents per letter. So that like probably do 1,500 on 1,000. I think I was doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, do about
Okay.
1,500 records, which is honestly, if we'll go over the numbers as we do this, but it's almost that 1,500 records is almost equivalent to blasting out 3,000 records in a traditional format where you just pull data and send it out. So like we're cutting almost half of it out, and I'm going to show you guys exactly that process. So
Right.
yeah, running
It's
on a budget.
effectively-
This was a byproduct of me trying to maximize a small starting budget to test this business model in general. It and part of it didn't happen right away. It was I sent out a couple mailers without scrubbing that much. Mostly kind of like when I first joined LIA, subdivisions were really kind of on the forefront of everybody's mind, like really focusing on subdivisions. So I didn't have that much of an issue. But then I started playing with some countywide mailers, and I got to see the amount of garbage that comes through when that happens. So, and
Yeah.
it's a byproduct of that I wanted. One, I'm on a time limit as well when it comes to like I work a full-time job pretty much about 4 days a week right now. It was 5 at the time. I work nights, and I don't want to. It kind of works out really well with my schedule, but I didn't want to be taking all these calls for garbage properties when I could just. And then on top of that, the time that it saves me for not taking those calls in conjunction with the money it's going to save you on mailing, that for every letter you don't send to a crappy property, that's another letter you get to send to a good property, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So it's like a double-edged sword that's just extra valuable if you direct it where it needs to go. So we're going to go into all that.
Yeah.
But
it's not just about shrinking your budget; it's also expanding your budget, right?
Because and just maximizing efficiency is like the key there for what we do.
Yeah.
Especially on a tight budget. Like, what's that?
Yeah. I was gonna say, so even if you're sending like 20,000 letters, you could still send 20,000 letters like this. It's gonna take you a long time to scrub it, but your reach is like effectively like you're sending 40,000 letters just blasting. That's the whole thing.
Exactly. If you look at it that way, you're hitting the equivalent of like, because if you think about all the good properties are actually hitting out of that 20,000, it is more equivalent to doing 40,000 minus all the headache and the actual cost of doing that. So
yeah, exactly.
Definitely very valuable. And this could be taught to a VA. This absolutely could. Even if they can get 80% of what I'm doing, you're still just off to the races. You know, you're still gonna be in great shape. So
I have 2 VAs that do it for me now, and it's worth every penny in my eyes because now they only have to do it one time, and I own that list, and I can remail that list like 10 times. But now I
Exactly.
know every APN from 5 acres up. I know every single APN in a county and which properties are good.
Exactly.
So
And on top of that, if you stack different what's it called? Different marketing channels together. We're talking RVMs, texting, cold calling
yep.
on top of mail, and you get serious list penetration. You could, I mean, from what I've seen, you could even hit like 20% of that list and actually get in contact with them in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And we're talking they're all relatively really good properties from that
Mhm.
start. So I feel like the yield from that could be just absurd if you stack them. One day I'll try and get there, but right now it's just mail for me. But this helps with
Mhm.
my current life
Yeah.
situation and trying to manage this business in my free time, and
Yep.
also maximizing a tiny budget and getting the most from it. So this is
Mhm.
ultimately where this all originated from for me.
Yep. But you'll have this list forever. So you could always go back a year from now and say, "Hey, these are the known good parcels." Yeah, they
Yep.
may have changed hands over the time, but like for the most part, they're not going to be subdivided into other parcels or
Yep.
whatever. Maybe one or two, right? The
Exactly.
likelihood. And so
Exactly.
what? Like one or two get changed. But now you own this list. You could go back and stack RVMs, all that stuff, cold calling 2 years from now and still be in a great spot because you
And,
already
and
have that insider information.
exactly. And realistically, we're probably talking maybe 5% of the actual data we pull might change hands,
Might.
so it's a fraction of that list might actually change hands. So it's a very small loss uh, from that one original list year over year. So,
Mhm.
but no, it's so I'll dive into the first thing.
Yep.
Is basically some of the criteria I put in place to initially filter out some of the things I'm looking for. And obviously, I drew a polygon just to limit. I didn't want to do too many records on live, just because I know I'm going to be explaining everything, and I'm going to try and scrub all this in front of you guys. And obviously, I just trying to narrow it down to about plus or minus 200 records. Came to 265. Like I can manage that pretty quickly. So, um, living area, I know some people go up to like 0 to 500 square feet. You can definitely do that. Put 0 to 100 because I really just don't like the added headache of having any structures on there. Um, Lot acreage, I'm actually in this specific area. I'm going to come back and scrub from 5 to up to 30 acres. I've noticed in this area seem to be changing hands. So I'm like, all right, it's kind of my limit. And then once you get to 30 acres in this area, it's like 400 grand. So the likelihood I get one pretty low, but might as well shoot my shot. But mostly 1 to 5 acres. That's not my criteria necessarily. It's just enough to get us to the 265 records that we're at right now.
Nice.
Absentee owner unknown. This section is, I think, important because you have owner occupied, absentee owner, and owner unknown. This will help you because there are going to be situations where you have a vacant piece of land on paper, but it shows up as occupied owner, which means they have some sort of a structure that's unrecorded, or they're living on it with an RV or something like that. That is the
Mhm.
land they are living on. Generally speaking, they're going to be more attached to it than just your average landowner that we typically target. So that hopefully will eliminate that. And typically let's delete it, get count. So we're already looking at probably 10, almost 10 records right there of people that would have been on the list that live on the property. So we'll go put
Yep.
those back in place, get count, drop back down to 265. Um, Corporate owned, I'm just excluding that right now. I don't always exclude corporate owned. It depends. And take in mind, a lot of these filters are subjective to the area you're in. They don't always work, but this will help you whittle it down. These things have to be kind of thought through, but for the sake of, again, reducing the amount of records in this general vicinity, I'm doing excluding corporate owned, but I don't always do
Mhm.
that, and it's not gospel truth. Sometimes if I just notice there's an area where there is an extreme amount of corporate owned, I'm gonna take those out just because maybe it's like a lot of minerals out there and there's a lot of mining companies. I don't want to sift through all of them,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. But we definitely buy land from LLCs, corporate,
Yep.
you name it. So that does happen. But in this case, for the sake of this exhibition, I guess we're gonna do exclude corporate owned. Mailing state and county bundle. This is all U.S. states because I don't really want to mail people who live in maybe the U.K. who own a piece of property here. I did like that's going to just add complexity to the deal and getting the paperwork done that I kind of just don't want to do. It's very few and far between, but this is something I put in place. Um, this is a big one for me at least, and again, this is coming from running a small budget and trying to maximize its efficiency. what I've noticed is pretty much past middle of 2020, people who bought a property from there, the market went off a ramp. Prices exponentially increased at a fast rate. People who got property before then are generally at a much lower basis and more willing to sell. Because if you think about it, like say you have $100,000 property, now it's worth 175 3 or 4 years later, but they got it right before all that happened and they got it at 95. I hit them with an offer at 90. They're going to be more open to it than the person who paid 175.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my thesis there. Sumner did bring up a very good point. He's like, still, if like a trust got executed or something exchanged hands, it will show up as a sale even though it was an inheritance. So I might be filtering some of those out, but at the added expense of, or excuse me, at the benefit of not getting calls, getting cussed out essentially for offering half of what the property's worth today because they bought it, 7 months ago.
One thing I could say on that too is we looked at I'm in like this small group with a bunch of like high level other Leah members and stuff like that, and we were talking about this exactly. And what they did is we all looked back at our old deals. I mean, they look back historically since like 2016, their deals, and the majority of their sales were all the people have purchased their property before 2014.
Wow.
That was
Okay,
the
that goes
majority.
even further back then.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the majority. There was some like obviously in the new I think somebody said the most recent one was 2019.
Yeah.
Was like the most recent purchase price. So I think you're on the right thing. With the exception being one guy was saying that his deepest and best deals are from a specific avatar who inherited the land in the last like 5 years. So it's like you do have two sides of the coin, but the inheritance thing is like not everybody's inheriting land out there, but a lot of people bought it before there. So I think you're in a good spot. Yeah, you're going to lose out some, but you're not losing out. You're still getting a 26 ROAS. Like that's insane.
Yeah, exactly. Can't complain there. And actually, I know Sumner, this little column right here, I'm curious to play with this and see like if you can play with deed type and see if that can narrow down the people who actually did get the property conveyed to them in the form of an inheritance in some way, shape, or form. That's something I would like to play with. Haven't gotten that far yet, but for the sake of doing it how I have been doing it, I just typically put a last sale date. And the double close I have in Texas right now, that he purchased it in March of 2020. And that's kind of a prime example of what I was talking about there. So assessed improvement percent, definitely a good one. This does not always work in every area. Something, again, these two, assessed improvement percent and market total value, need to be played with depending on the area. So assessed improvement percent is basically a rating of the county of how much has that property been improved. Generally, septics and wells will fall within that 10% range usually. So anything past that is going to mean there's some more serious development on the property, and that typically implies that it's not just vacant land, or it's going to be a different story there. And typically our offer letters will not reflect that, a price that would be justifiable for those, which means not that they won't come along. And again, this is something that can be played with. It generally works in most places, but market total value is one that does not work some areas. In this area, I played around with it already and landed at 10,000 to 400,000. I noticed there's not really much past like 3 or 350 when it comes to assessed values, like the market total value by the county assessor. And anything under 10,000 means it's probably a garbage property to begin with. Maybe it's covered in wetlands, or it's in some sort of a land trust where the tax value is dropped so low because it's going to be preserved forever, or whatever it may be. Could be an ag exemption, so you have to be careful with that, because some properties will have an ag exemption that drastically reduces their assessed value on paper just so the tax bill is lower, which doesn't always correlate with its actual value whatsoever. These things need to be played with, and you need to understand the area a little bit to use that one. And it's not always important. You can honestly just eliminate this one entirely and you'll still be fine. It just helps sort out the stuff. Like, I don't want to, if there's like a $1 million, multifamily property that I accidentally hit and it's actually assessed at 900,000 or something like that, it's going to take that out, because the likelihood of them selling to me in the first place, very low. And then on top of that, on the same thing on the other direction, I don't want to have to sift through a pile of garbage sub 10,000 market value. So I might as well just try and eliminate that on the front end to make it easier for me to scrub. Listing status, not active. I prefer to go after stuff that is not active and has not been active. So I just put that in place. But again, I know people purchase deals that are on market and it still does happen. And even when I pull this data, I'm always pulling in advance. So like I have my next month of data already booked out with Rocket Print. Like it's ready to go. It's going to go out on exit like certain days. So I don't have to think about it as much and try and scramble. I'm always ahead of the game. And in the period of time where I pull this data to when it actually goes out, some things will get listed. So I do still get calls occasionally of listed properties, or data tree doesn't register that they're listed and it just doesn't show up. So that's kind of what I play with right here. There are a couple others, and I can't really think of much more important than this that I might play with, but these are the ones I start with. So we're gonna go over here, view results. It's gonna populate everything, and we're gonna touch down on the screen, on the filters that I have in place. So I have parcel lines on. I want to see the shape of the parcels. I have owner name turned on. That's a crucial one. As I'm looking through it, I'm seeing who the owners are, and if I notice, we'll go into why I do that. I have for sales turned on and recent sales, because even though I have the recent sales set as before September of 2020, you'll still see some pop up that for some reason didn't get registered. REO sale, I don't need that on, but I guess I had it on for some other reason. Flood, obviously you want that on, and that's kind of it. Not really seeing anything else too. But yeah, so that's all the ones I have on. And then we dive in, and again, I have like this certain shape. I'll just pick a corner and start working from it. And this corner over here, I'll just start over here. And as we're diving into it, forward. So obviously this person, whatever the structure that is, not only do they have some sort of a structure on this property, but they own the one right next door, pulling that out.
And the one in front of it and the one around it.
Yep.
And
yep, exactly.
They're not going to sell you their backyard.
Yeah, no, it's not that doesn't happen. I've personally gotten leads where this does, and they do want to sell.
Yeah, me too. I bought them too, but
yeah, it happens. But if you think about the overall experience, imagine staring out your front yard and you sell this property to somebody, then 2 weeks later, a for sale sign ends up on it. Or imagine trying to double close these in the process as well. You have to have rock solid rapport with a seller if that's the case. So, and here's the same situation. This is just their front yard. Like the likelihood they're selling it, very low. So I'm pulling that out. Rice, again, backyard, pulling that out. Hensley, well, that's his backyard. So we're pulling those out as well. And see, you'll quickly see how often this is and how much of the data is comprised of stuff like this. This just looks like a disaster. Don't even want that. I've dealt with properties with a little bit of junk on them, and I do not want to deal with those unless it's like minimal. Then maybe we'll talk about it, but just price will have to reflect that.
We had one that we were about to close on, and then the 2 days before closing, our realtor walked the property, and somebody dumped an entire tractor trailer full of tires.
Oh, I remember hearing about that one. Yeah,
that's a good one. We're still waiting to the seller won't answer me back, so which makes me think we had walked it 2 weeks prior. The seller is not calling me back, which makes me think he probably did it.
Yeah, no, probably.
He probably was like, let me just dump this, and
Yeah, exactly. And this one, not only is it appear to be landlocked, it is his backyard. It's just a separate portion of his parcel. This one, on face value, they look good. Realistically, there's probably a reason that all the parcels around it have not been built on, and these three haven't. Gonna pull those out, and you see this creek running through right here. This is probably, maybe you have a sliver on there that might be buildable. Highly unlikely we're gonna be able to do it.
More than likely, if you look at the top of it probably valleys in. It's like a V
on top of that. Exactly. Exactly. So topography, generally is not going to be friendly on that. And then you have added issues of perking, dealing with wastewater that might end up into a creek, and the EPA will not like that kind of stuff. So, and it's the stuff that I'd probably pull out just given the circumstance. If it's a big enough, like if there's a creek right here, or for example, like back here, this one has a creek in the back. If this was an empty parcel, fine by me. You got a solid chunk up front that you can work with. But past that, those two don't fit the bill.
Exactly.
This one, let's see what we got here. Todd, backyard. Lee, here we go. This is the stuff we're looking for. Lee does not appear to own anything surrounding it. Just a vacant piece of land, empty. That's our target audience right here.
Single-sided road frontage, so that's like a good property, but not like a prime.
Yep.
You know?
And it's not, I mean, obviously it's pretty heavily wooded, not perfect, but that's generally what you'll see is properties that are owned by someone in a very different area are going to be a little overgrown. So it's kind of a telltale sign. You see nobody else around it has a similar name, doesn't own it. So it's probably just a random parcel some person owns off in the distance. And that's exactly what we're looking for. It looks like good road access, nearby parcels, looks great. That's exactly the stuff we're looking for at scale. This one, backyard, same thing. This one's interesting.
End of a cul-de-sac. So it's like a weird shaped parcel.
It is, but that looks very usable and buildable and definitely worth our while.
If you zoom in, it actually looks like the road goes to that parcel.
This other end, some sort of secondary access. Yeah, it does. Yeah. And sometimes you got to be careful with those because obviously you zoom in further, you see it's barely a road. Sometimes it will show up because an easement is recorded of some sort that it shows up as a road, and you zoom in and it's like that thing hasn't been touched in millennia. So it's really not a road. And sometimes kind of have to factor that in. These are both backyards. Pull those out. Lind. Yeah, that's both front yards. Where backyard. And I mean, you'll see how quickly I'll go through this. I don't expect yourself to be this fast right off the bat. This is just thousands of records of doing this in multiple hours that did this. Okay, here's actually a good example. These properties, if it was just one of them, are relatively skinny. It does appear someone has built on one, but ultimately they're buildable. Not ideal. They're a little bit like flagpole lots. The thing is, he owns 4 of them. I'm going to pick the one closest to the road, leave that in because there's probably going to be some sort of an access point here. It looks like there must be.
Yeah, do you think there is?
Yeah, it looks like someone's getting on there. There might be an easement in place already, but I want the one closest to the road. Hopefully I get in contact and we discuss a purchase of all of them, but I'm picking the best one when I see something like that happen. Butler, this looks like it has some stuff on it, but oh yeah, Buller, that's his next door. So yeah, it's definitely used. Morgan, this one appears vacant. I'm going to leave that in. And again, if I notice that these are all too skinny to build on, it looks like everyone's building on them. So I'm going to leave those in.
Yeah, they got weird setbacks there.
What's that?
They have weird setbacks for such a skinny lot to be able to build on it. That's
true. That is true. And sometimes those things change over time, those setback requirements. So stuff that could have been built previously doesn't always mean you can do it again. This one, even though not only is it in the backyard, I'm going to act, assuming that this was just a vacant parcel not owned by the neighbor. This is something I would still take out for this reason. Its road frontage is nice. However, look at the series of wetlands running through before you can even get to the usable part of the land. So unless there's some sort of an access point around that, definitely would take that out. It's even though it might look good on paper. And then on top of that, it's the neighbor's backyard. So we're taking that out. Stewart owns all this, but this is odd. Like, why is that one showing up as a pin, but these ones aren't? They all look vacant. I might just leave that one in. I don't think I see a Stewart anywhere else, so I don't think it's a backyard. I'm gonna leave that one in. Scott, backyard. Still, and
yeah.
Quickly, you can just buzz through these things and see all these and quickly get them out of the equation. And Tall, it's a weird property. It looks like it has a creek on it. That is a weird property. And it's, again, you don't want to overthink it. If you're sitting there thinking about it for more than like 5 seconds, it was probably 2 seconds too long. So it's just quickly buzz over this, see what you can see, and get through it because you'll be here a long time if you're way overthinking every parcel. And this is just and then you'll get faster at it again. So it's like I can quickly buzz through it. If I wasn't talking right now, I'd be kind of flying through it.
Yeah. And also, when you're sharing it, everything lags a little bit too. So it's like it's that extra couple seconds, but you could really go through quick.
Yeah, exactly. Lindbrook, Kurtz. This is exactly the kind of stuff we're looking for. No one appears to own it around. No, never mind. Hold on. Yeah, that's his backyard.
Is that Earth?
That's a separate parcel though, too. And it's like, I don't know.
It does have a separate road frontage.
Yeah. But it is technically his backyard. I'm just gonna leave it in. Again, these are things like you can just leave those ones. Occasionally I'll just leave them in still. Like it's again, don't want to overthink it and sit here. This one does probably appear to be
Yeah, he
Not a
owns a bunch.
situation where you want it. That one. And as you guys can see how many I'm taking out because of how common this stuff is. So, and then I'll just kind of zoom out, get a basis for where I'm at, and start picking back up. This one looks like it's built on entirely. Don't know why that's showing up vacant. Miller Revocable Trust. These we found out it's a warning sign that sometimes like it changed hands recently or something. Maybe the trust was finally executed. That's not vacant at all though. So I'm gonna pull that out.
Huh.
This is all not vacant really. It's actually his backyard and does not appear to be vacant. This one, see that's lying. Oh, it's backyard and landlocked a little bit. Koza, backyard. Nelson. This area kind of sucks, honestly. Pulling mostly backyards right now. So, and you'll see this in some areas better than others, and that's how it goes. Cox and Cox. So this is interesting. Okay, so pulling out Cambo. I don't know why. Yeah, it's definitely built on. This one, both are showing up as vacant. You can see maybe there's some sort of like a mobile home or an RV there, but both are considered vacant. So I'm going to leave one in. I'm going to pick the bigger of the two, so he gets a bigger offer letter, a bigger number in front of his face. But
Yeah.
that's something I'll leave in just because both owned by the same person, both are showing up as vacant. Maybe he doesn't want to sell. We'll find out. These are just both landlocked, and I don't see Chavez. Okay.
No, he owns the front.
Yeah. All right. This one, I don't know what's going on there. This looks like a build in works. So
Yeah. Can I tell you though, we're buying a property right now that I would probably have scrubbed this guy out. He's got 100 and something acres, all on different parcels. I probably would have scrubbed them out, but he's selling me 25 acres, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm finalizing my divorce, and I'll sell you the other 100 acres, in August." So they do still come up, right?
Oh, not going to deny that
Yeah.
whatsoever. They definitely do.
Because he's 60 something, he just wants to reduce his holdings. And he's like, yeah, I'm just good to reduce everything, whatever. So, yeah, they do still come up. I will say that. We had bought another one where we bought the property across the street. She owned both. And we bought it and sold it. Bought it for 60, sold it for 100. And made 40K, or 30K after everything. So it's just like sometimes it happens, but more likely you're going to get the person that says screw you than you are going to be the person that says like, hey, yeah, I want to sell it to you.
Yes.
So you're taking out the more likely scenario, which is them telling you to screw off.
Exactly.
And you're going for the lowest hanging fruit right now. That's all.
And there's certain situations, like if they're showing up like there's a good chunk of land, and I do see that, like that's actually kind of what you're bringing up right here is like another example. This is 6 different parcels. What's that?
Right. Yeah, like that guy right there. Exactly.
Yeah, this is a great example. Well, I'm just going to pick the best one with the best road frontage. If he only wants to sell one, I want that one. In the event that he actually contacts me, one, I don't see Tabero anywhere else. So it's just this might be just like farmland that he technically owns and maybe has something in place there. Maybe they are farming it, maybe they aren't. Nonetheless, it does look like a nice lot right here. If they want to end up selling all of them, I just pick the best one and just to start the conversation.
He 100% leases it to Butter Dairy. 100%.
Yeah, and that's my guess as well. Yeah,
and he just leases it out to them, and they graze their cattle and this and that. That's how it happens.
Usually how that plays out. Johnson, Bushwatts. This is too interesting parcel. That's too tiny. Okay, so that's that guy's neighbors. This one though, I don't see a Johnson anywhere else. That's just a random parcel. Healey backyard. This one's name is not showing up. No, it does. He does own both. This looks like wetlands in the back right here.
Yes,
it does. Or just really, maybe I don't know. It does look like wetlands. Sheridan. Yeah, that's both. All that name keeps showing up a lot on that road, and especially that's another thing. If you see a name of a road named after an owner of the parcel, you're probably not getting that piece of land. Fun fact: it's probably not going to happen. It means that generation goes way back there.
Yep.
Barrett Wetzel. This is interesting. Wetzel, Barrett. That's that guy's probably properties. Maybe owns this. I don't know why. Maybe those two are owned under an LLC, but probably owns all those. The Wetzel one, though, I don't see the name surrounding. Looks like it has some sort of a road access, an easement that would access it. Looks like a nice parcel. Yep. That's probably gonna be good. Hanson. That's his front yard. Yates. 8. That's actually like even not even though that no, I probably wouldn't. Looks
No.
like 8. Yeah. Sometimes if they have a nice road and it is like one of those like flag lots, those things are still salvageable. This is just a weird lot. That's
Yeah.
part of his. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes that just happens. It's a little strip of land.
Yep.
This one, I'm gonna leave that one in. It's actually a nice parcel. This is garbage right here.
Oh yeah, it's garbage. Somebody called us on a river. They
Yeah.
own like this front of the river. I'm like, okay, and they're like, it also has no access. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And then on top of that, they say it's like waterfront, and they think it's just worth $1 million. When I say, dude, it's a strip of land
yeah,
you can't even access. Don't give me that.
yeah. It's swamp.
Don't
Yeah,
even want
I'm
that
good.
conversation. This one, oh, this is a prime example of the kind of stuff we're looking for. Again, Chew. No one else around it owns it. It's overgrown. Nice road frontage. Chances are they haven't been there in a while. Some random person owns that piece of property, probably.
Yep.
Leaving that one in for sure. Nichols, both are shot. No, that's his front yards. Croon. Leaving Croon in right here. That one looks good. Looks buildable. Nichols, same situation. Backyard, and Bald, backyard. And as you can see on the polygon, I kind of excluded all the infill stuff, so I just don't even have to sort through it. I just kind of drew the polygon around this area. And I just come in here, draw super close with the polygon, and then draw around it to exclude it and come back in where and continue drawing where I was. Schneider's, that's weird. Looks like an RV lot or something like that. Something, this might be industrial, but I've actually had some awesome leads from stuff like that. I'm gonna leave that
Yeah.
one in. Ceiling owns a big chunk of land right here that is developable. I want to get in contact with that guy because that looks like that's entitlement stuff right here. Peterson, taking that out. Sorensen, leaving. Oh no, that is his front yard. Pulling that one out. Kavash looks good. Yep, leaving that one. Nutter not only has a building on it, that's a backyard. Ooh. Tonkin. Yep, I'm leaving. I'm gonna picking that one, pick it out, but I'm leaving that one, and we'll have the conversation if we get there about both. McCoy. Why is that showing up as vacant? There's nothing on there. I'm gonna leave that one in, even though it does look like it has something on there. That's gonna be probably a nice buildable, usable lot. Riley. This is another good example too, where they own, looks like 2 consecutive lots. I don't see anything else around there that they own. Right next to it's a nicely priced house. I'm gonna pick the bigger of the two because since they're both nice. If I'm stuck between the two, I'm gonna pick the nicer of the selection or the bigger one because these are both almost identical, just looks like different sizes. So I want him to get the bigger offer letter. If he wants to sell me both, good to go. We'll have that conversation. But I'm gonna pick the bigger one, so I send him a bigger number and put that in the front of his face. So smelling, that one looks good. Leaving that one in. That one's backyard. Roger. This one's landlocked and a backyard. Collard County Parks. I'm leaving that one in. Looks like something is going on here. Owned by county land right next to it, which is generally good. That means no one's going to be building next to you. Backyard. Yeah, that one I like.
This is such like it's so valuable, but it could just be so taxing on your mind to sit here and do this. But like
Yeah.
you said, it's worth everything. You know,
It
just
is.
so
And
much money.
you just got to do this once. And this is something you could teach a VA. Even if they leave in
Yeah.
an extra 20% of stuff that I'm taking out, you're still in much better shape than you were. You
Yeah.
know, it's still going to save you a bunch on mailing costs. The quality of the properties coming through your CRM are going to be much better. Just a collection of just good that comes from it.
Oh yeah.
That one in. And yeah, no, it's not fun. I'm not going to sit here and act like it is. It sucks. But I just gotten so used to doing it. I've done it so much, it doesn't even bother me that much anymore. I just sit down, hang out late at night, and just go through on the computer and just uncheck boxes. So it's
I mean, if you think about it, every single box you uncheck, you're saving yourself 50 cents or 60 cents.
You see how quickly in like the last 10
Yeah.
minutes what I just saved, that
Yep.
now is mail that gets to go to a better place. It really quickly, it's like, yeah, you think about it
Actually,
and
probably way more than that. Because think about it, you have if you're having an answering service, that's what, $2 a minute.
oh, you
Average
add
call
it
is
up.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
So you got $2 a minute. That's what, that's $8 you're saving right there if they
Yeah.
call, right? That's the other thing. They're not all calling you. But
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it adds up like crazy. It
It
really
really
does.
does. It really does. And just ultimately to take a call for a property you were never going to buy in the first place
It's
because it
draining.
takes you 2 seconds to look it on a map and say no. You know, like it's like
Exactly.
what's that going to cost you? So especially, yeah, like you said, I don't have an answering service, but you add up all the services of a VA, of all these things that deal with all these things, and then on top of that, an answering service. Yeah, just the mail cost alone is enough justification. But past that, it really
Yep.
adds up too. And like you said, every time I uncheck a box, 50 cents. So if you think about it from a time value on a dollar for per minute standpoint, it's like you're saving yourself like $200 an hour doing this shit. So
Yeah,
it's very valuable in that fashion.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. That one. Carlson Dennis. This looks like a backyard. They own a good chunk of land. This one, Carlson Dennis, is probably the same person. And maybe sold. Yeah, this is the same person. They have like 3 houses on the same like
Right.
different lots. This one's nice though. If they want to end up selling that, I'll just leave that in there. Um, this is weird. Okay, this is something I might just touch down on while I'm seeing it. When the pin, sometimes you'll see in areas when the pin, this is a weird shaped parcel, but if the pin drops in a very weird spot on the parcel, usually there's something weird going on with title, I've noticed. Like sometimes you'll see 2
Hmm.
names drop on a parcel and a pin drops in a weird spot. This one, I think it's just that's the middle of this weird shaped lot. So I don't think that's the case, but you'll see that on occasions. And typically I'll just take those out I mean, depends. If it's a really nice property, I'm leaving it in. We're going to get in touch with whoever is on title and have
Yeah.
that conversation of what else is going on here. That one's landlocked. Looks landlocked. No, that's backyard. That is landlocked though too. Sunders. I'm leaving that one. No, that's never mind. That's backyard. Front yard in this case. Oh, backyard. And a lot of backyards. A lot of that going on right now. Henderson backyard. Gate. Yep, sure enough, backyard.
What
Show.
where is this? What state are we in?
We're in Washington.
In Washington.
About probably near Auburn, Washington is this area. And I think I am probably going to mail these ones out. I was thinking about picking an area that I might not mail just in case I'm showing it publicly, but I really don't care if someone else mails it. Just, at least wait a month. That's all I can ask. Don't be a complete ass. Just wait a month.
I know. It's honestly, people always talk about that. They're like, there's so much this, so much that, there's so much competition. But at the end of the day, different strokes, different folks. Your mailer might hit somebody and somebody else is whatever. It's good. People are going to resonate with different things, right? That's
And my
all.
pricing might be completely different. So I feel like I'm really good at pricing. So maybe they miss on pricing, or I don't know. Maybe I have an edge there. I don't know. We'll see. And like you said, it's more of a timing factor. This one, not only is it his backyard, but even the case, this guy is probably selling both lots. Like even though the pin's dropping for sale there, that's a listed property.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
highly doubt he's just selling just the house in that lot, and it's probably being sold together. Evans front yard, more front yards. And yeah, this is what I do hours on hours end of the day. You guys get to see how boring this is. This is a nice property though. It's like Hunt.
So I have one VA that does this for me right now. And I mean, he literally spends, man, what are we about 100 hours a week doing this?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a lot. This
I mean,
one,
he doesn't mind it. He loves it.
I know. Honestly, it's like for living in like if I have a VA in the Philippines, I saw someone say this. He's like, if you ever feel bad about paying a VA $3 an hour to click on the computer, it's like, trust me, there's worse things they could be doing for money.
Yeah.
There's much worse things, and they have probably done much worse things for money. So it's not really bad. This one,
mine is $350 an hour, and he's in Pakistan, and he loves it. And he's like, my sister will do it too, and they're like excited to do it.
Yep. Oh, that's even better. And you actually get the serious motivation to go and do it.
Yep, exactly.
just at a quick glance, so you guys can see that. See how many pins are unchecked right now? It's kind of
Yeah, how
crazy.
many? Where are you at? How many? What's your number? Do you have that yet or no?
Not yet. We're down to 138 out. We're already halfway done, and we haven't even gone. We're taking a lot out right now. There's because of how many
Yeah.
backyards there are, and we still have this whole upper corner of the map to go through. And that's how many just aren't solid parcels. Like, and you'll see this. And imagine you're sending, almost 2/3 of your mail to garbage properties you didn't want anyway if you didn't do this. So
Wow.
it's something. If you really think about it, like it's a serious cost. And ultimately, I'd much rather spend that money sending it to a parcel that I would want to buy. And
Yep.
it's a cost of doing it. And if you have the time to do this, or if you hire it out in the VA, it is worth its weight. Like you said, $3, $5 an hour, some
Yeah.
cases, to go
Well, I
and do
think
this.
the way they're doing it now with Land Insights, it's like I think it's 6 cents a record. So you just upload it and they'll do all this stuff for you, which
Yeah,
is
that's
awesome.
awesome. I
Yeah.
highly doubt they're able to pull out to the level that I am. Like a lot of these
Well,
backyards are going to end up in that
they
data
won't get
set.
backyards and neighbors, but they're gonna get like
Yeah,
bad, floodplains, this and that. But if you're looking to just get into it and scrub like this, maybe you're scrubbing out like 60% of the list. They scrub out like,
yeah,
30% of the list, right?
30%
But
probably.
it's
Yeah,
still something. It's still a lot of money saved
yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
day. And a lot of headaches,
Yeah,
all that stuff. Like we separate ours into 10 categories and I pull it separate into 10 categories. The top 2 categories, one in prime and regular, I mail those directly with the price. Boom. Everything else I mail at different different aspects. We're going to be mailing them as like neutral letters for maybe like, hey, if this property is in fact landlocked, but it does have, if it's not landlocked, it has an easement, we'd be interested in purchasing it. If it is landlocked, we would purchase it, but it's going to be a very low, whatever the number. I don't know exactly what we're going to say, but that's one. Or odd
yeah,
shaped lots, like, hey, we're interested in this, but at this price, not at this price. Stuff
exactly.
like
And
that.
it's not perfect. You're still going to have those conversations on the back end. It's not like stuff will slip through, and it's super funny. Like when I first started doing this, like I think I started was one of the first mailers I did was to Idaho where I scrubbed, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so stoked to get a call now because I know I scrubbed everything. And then the first call I get was with the one landlocked property I missed. It was like, go figure. And
And they
ended
were
up,
probably like, yes, somebody sent us an offer.
yep, yeah. The crazy thing is though, I learned that they were still giving them a tax assessment of full market value on a standard 5 acre as if it had road access. It was I was like,
Wow.
you go contest that like right now, because that is nowhere near fair. There's no
Yeah.
way. They can charge you that kind of tax. And that's one thing I've seen in Idaho. The tax assessments are rough. All the counties are sending them literally peak full market value tax assessments right now because they don't have very high taxes to begin with. So
Mm-hmm.
they're just trying to collect as much as they can to run the state. And as a byproduct of that, instead of changing the tax rate, they just are jacking up tax assessments to the crazy prices that were happening during COVID. And especially since the market tapered off a little bit, supplies increasing, I would say they're above current market value if you actually wanted to liquidate within 6 months. It's kind of gotten crazy out there. And
Yeah, for real.
it's very difficult to offer 50% of market value when a county is mailing you a letter saying your property's worth 200 grand and I just mailed you at like 110, that's the number one thing I'm running into out there if I even mail them is that
Yep.
they're not yeah, they have the county telling them otherwise. So even though these are lakefront and they are probably worth a lot more, sometimes I leave those in too because I know I'm going to get a call and be like, "You have any idea what this worth?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, if it's lakefront, we can talk a different number because that was I would say I missed that. That was an accident, but now we can have this conversation." So I'm gonna leave those 2 in over there. These are all landlocked and a backyard Harris. I don't see a Harris is right there. Oh God, everybody, swear to God, backyard after backyard right now. Straight. Yep. Yeah, this one's rough. And on average, so people aren't shocked when they go and do this, how much I pull out, I would say my best case scenario is 50% yield. Best case scenario. Maybe 40 on very rare occasions. Actually, pull out 40% of the properties and the other 60 are mailable. It gets as bad as 75%, I would say. Sometimes 75% gets taken out on occasions. So you start with 1,000 records, and sometimes you end up with like 250 or 300, but they are some prime lots that you actually want to be mailing. And that's just the cost of going through it. So this one,
totally worth it.
It's tough. Yeah, it sucks, but it works. Short answer. Ruben Isaac's backyard.
I mean, it worked. Like your first year, you made what 17K you spent, right? And what did you spend? 17. You spent 17K.
That's full operational cost, and I'm going to generate probably 230 grand from that.
It's crazy, right?
It is.
Isn't
it's
that
insane. My goal coming into this, I was like, I make about 65, 70 grand at work each year. And I was like, dude, if I could just make that in my free time outside of work, like freaking awesome. I tripled that. And I was like, it was just mind blowing to me still. I did one deal that like literally, it's actually I'm about to close on it. It was a long duration double close, but I'm about to close on it. That one deal is going to net me my entire year of pay from my W-2. It's $71,000 I'm going to make on that deal.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like it's set to close, and like I'll be flying out to Mexico, and then 2 days later I'm getting like a bank wire for 120 grand. And I'm like, yeah, baby. So
that's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. More than I could have ever dreamed of, honestly. It was such even better results than I could have ever imagined. It's
yeah,
I didn't realize it either. Like going in, like when I first shared my KPIs with the group, I wasn't thinking much of it. I knew I was like, I'm doing good. Like I'm pretty happy with it. Everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on here? Because this is not normal.
Where did you come from?
I was like, I didn't know. I didn't even think twice about it. I just knew I was doing all right, And and that's one thing. And keep in mind, a lot of this came from the fact that like I was so skeptical of the business model going in. I allotted a certain amount, a dollar amount in my head to play with to test the business model that I was essentially willing to lose in the back of my head. I was like, if literally nothing comes of this, I learned a lot. I essentially lose 20 grand or whatever it is, and I learn a ton about real estate, and hopefully maybe if I decide to try again, then I learned a ton of stuff, and that was the cost of essentially schooling myself on this, and
totally worth it.
Yep, totally worth it. And so that's why I came into this. I was like, I'm going to spend as little as possible, try and get the most from it. Oh, don't fail me now, map. And that's kind of as a byproduct, like this is eventually what I did, like kind of realized I should be doing is just this. So this was kind of just once I started getting crappy calls and dealing with all of the difficulties that come along with that, and also realizing what that's actually costing me in mailing costs and back end time and effort and attention span and all of it. It was like enough for me to be like, no, I need to scrub this stuff. And that's kind of just developed this kind of, I heard about scrubbing too, and I thought about it. And that's when I kind of started developing this tactic as a way to go about it, and kind of just went my own route with it. And as you can see, like sometimes I'll zoom out, try and get a bearing of where I'm at again. And it looks like, and if you see typically like a pocket of pins, chances are you missed it. So go back over that. This one. Nope. Burger. No, I think we're pretty much done.
Like, all right, good. Yeah, I want to wrap this up because we got another call.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's see how many I'm really curious to see how many you're at now.
77 out of 265.
Holy crap.
Not good. But no, as you saw, like you got to see all those, like why I'm taking them out. It's not.
Yeah. It makes 100% sense. You only came out with 30% of the properties. That's how much you're going to mail.
Exactly.
But that's amazing. Because then now if you think of, and there were even a couple questionable ones that you were like, you know what, maybe not. Maybe I'll just keep it in there anyway. So like you're mailing 77 properties out of 265. And they're all good properties. So
exactly. But they're like I said, now it's like do the math on that. What's 77 minus 6 or 265 minus 77? So we're talking 200 records times 50 cents. That's $100 we just did right there. At least $100 in mailing costs, bare minimum, probably like 140 that we just saved right there.
Yeah, it's 190 records times 0.6. $114 you're saving.
Yep.
Now,
And see,
$114. So you had what? How many records? So 190 records you scrubbed out,
yep.
and then we get a response rate of 0.0. You get a high response rate too, right?
Generally, yes. Yeah.
0.6.
Generally, last year I ran. My numbers are probably like just under 0.6.
So 0.6. So that'd be like 2 calls essentially that you're scrubbing out as well. So that's another, call it $16. It doesn't sound like much when you just look at that. Like,
But we're talking thousands of records.
you're
If this
talking about thousands. You're talking about this
Yeah.
at scale. When you're doing 265, I do 20,000 mailers a month.
Damn.
Right? That's what, 10x this? No, 10x. 10x to 265 is 2,600, right?
Yeah.
So what, 100x? Or no, 100%.
More like yeah.
Yeah, right? Right? Isn't that? I don't know. I can't do math right now. I can't math. But yeah, that's insane. So scrub that. If I'm pulling, let's see, if I want to mail 20,000 records divided by 0.03, I literally want to pull. I'm sorry, 20,000 records divided by 0.3. I got to pull 66,000 records to scrub down like this. If I was going like this insane with it, it's insane.
That's when you realize what it actually, the portion, like when you do the math, even let's say, let's be a little bit more generous and call it like 45% yield cumulatively, like just under 50, call it, you probably scrub out 55% and you actually yield 45 on the back end in order to actually hit your mail. And this is one thing I've brought up is like when I scrub, I'm like, how this is not an uncommon story. What you guys just saw, like you get to see like 45-55% of this stuff is complete garbage. And like, where are you guys getting the quantity of data to do 30,000 records? You end up having to go everywhere. Like that's one thing you can't just stay in 1 or 2 states. Like you got to go everywhere. And
like we'll pull a list of like 10,000 and we'll scrub it down and only mail 1,600 people.
Damn,
that's it.
Yep.
But I mean, we'll mail the other ones just in different times. But like we pulled lists the other day. One county was 10,000, another county was 13,000, another county was like 8,000. Scrubbed it all down, sent it to Rocket Print. It was 3,500 pieces. Whoa. And it was like, it was insane. That's just because we're the amount of level we're scrubbing it at.
Wow.
And how much scrutiny. But the thing is I don't even go to the whole backyard thing.
Yep.
I don't really scrub that out. I should be doing that. And I'll probably stack that on too, because why not? And, like just label it as like an 11th category backyard or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And as you got to see how common it is to see a house or an owner who owns 2 parcels that comprises of their entire property. And in their head, like that's their property you're asking them to buy. And it's not just a piece of land they own somewhere. This is their backyard you're looking at. And 2 things. Actually, I mean, ultimately, think about the experience of actually trying to buy, then resell that property or do anything there. And then you have this neighbor who originally owned it, just watching this whole thing, trying to double close that. Then on top of that, if you own the parcel next door and you're not strapped for cash, do you want someone building a house next to you? No one does. No one really does.
Your front yard or something like that.
Yeah. So no one's going to want that. They don't want that experience. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to question who their new neighbors are going to be now. They don't want to deal. It's like none of the above is attractive to them usually. And in few and far instances between those people will sell you their land. The vast majority are going to say no. And again, I'm stacking my odds in the favor of the vast majority that are going to say no to take them out. And try and whittle it down to the people who are more likely to say yes in the begin with. And that's all the scrubbing process is. This probably at your scale, I don't know if it could be done to that level. It could. At what expense though? At what point is it just better to say, screw it, like we're going to miss some and send the letters out, And at a point,
I'm doing it. I just do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I have 2 VAs working, almost round the clock that are doing it for me.
Exactly.
And that's the difference, and it's working really well. I have I have a team of 5 people that are basically doing this for me.
Mm-hmm.
They scrub, they price, they do all this stuff. I just go in and make sure it looks good when we're done.
Yep.
And that's that.
Another question for you. Have you, because this is one thing where I've thought about like the threshold of where it begins to become more valuable to be on land vision, extracting data, and then having it scrub in the fashion that you are. I love the way you guys do scrubbing too, because it's so much more detailed. And not only are like you just scrubbing out, you're creating 3 or 5 different lists of different situations that you can create a letter that is tapered towards that situation. And then you can hit them at an even more personal level. And I do like that aspect of it. But my question is, where does it become the threshold of paying for a VA to scrub all the data, the entire process? How much data do you actually need to do in order to justify the difference in cost it's going to take to scrub them at a much slower rate, at a much finer rate? Like, where is that threshold? I don't know. Have you ever actually pulled numbers? Like, if you add up the land vision account cost, the time it takes to scrub a VA, what it actually translates to for a cost per record. I'm kind of curious about
that. If you're pulling 10,000 records a month, it's worth having land vision. Now we're pulling probably almost 100,000 records a month.
Wow.
Every single month consistently. That's just my data. That's not data I'm giving away to other people. I give away probably 50,000 records a month alone.
Yeah.
So, we're pulling about 100,000. We're probably we do a pre-scrub before we send it over to our scrubbers to scrub. So we do that and they scrub it once and then we scrub it again, we scrub it once, then they scrub it again. And then after we get it back from then we price it and then scrub it again. Whereas we take in anything that doesn't have a market value of 75,000 or more after we priced it. If the market value is 75,000 or less ish around that time, then we get rid of it because then we can't make our 30K minimum spread.
Yeah.
So we get rid of that. So we're like skinnying up the skinny already.
Yeah.
And then we're mailing that specifically, and then what we do too is we know prime properties, which are more than 5 acres, have double-sided road frontage. We mark them as prime. And the reason why we do that is I could go back, even what I do is, and I just started tweaking with this, anything that's a prime, I'm mailing prime and good properties together. I could add an extra 10 or 15% on the prime property, knowing it's a double-sided road frontage, better property, and get a better offer in front of them right away. And now I know, like, I could probably do a subdivide where other people aren't doing that, right? They're just saying, hey, mail a 40%, call it a day, or 50%, whatever you're doing. I might mail them at 75, 80% of value, knowing that it's a prime property. I could probably subdivide and double my money.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So, and it still works. The math works out great still. So,
right. I own that list, so I could do it anytime I want. Now, that's what we do. Is it something that anybody could do? No, definitely not. Land Insights is definitely going to make that 100 times easier for you to do it. But for me personally, like, I find it's extremely valuable. Like, this is something I don't really like showing everybody, but I'll just show you guys real quick. Anybody who's stuck around this long, I'll just show you. So I go in here. Let me do this. I'll show you one of my lists. Okay, right here. All right, so this is one of my lists. So these are our 10 prime, good, normal, odd shape, landlocked, 50%, mobile home park, very steep, power line easement unknown. So mobile home parks, any of these, I mail out because I buy mobile home parks.
Yep.
So I mail these separately, landlocked, odd shaped, all that stuff. And then we have like things. I have a loom right here that kind of breaks it all down, all that stuff. Here's my raw data. Everything in here is all like sorted out, right?
Yeah.
So I know I could pop this EPN right here and then go look at it and it's good. House lot, good, normal, whatever. I could see what everything is prime, whatever. So here's prime. So if I pop this into land ID, this was Elbert County, GA. Parcel ID, Georgia. Let's see how good he was when he scrubbed this. So this is how he does it. He goes literally line by line, and he drops it into here.
Yeah.
All right. So here we got road.
Yep.
Road, triple road frontage. Actually, train track. So you got pretty much like a double-sided road frontage. So that's good. Yeah. I look at it and I'm like,
and it's road frontage on the longest edge too, which is in your bed.
Probably would have taken this out right here. See Thomas Richard Willis.
Yep.
So ideally, actually, I probably want to mail this property. right?
It depends if I see like his house as part of that next property, you know? It's just a
Yeah,
different story in that case. Um,
exactly.
in the
So
event
I'll
that
go.
it's not, like I'd still probably actually probably mail him on the bigger parcel, if anything.
I know, right? That's definitely the way you should do it. So right here, you got road. So that's a better property too.
Yep.
So that would be considered prime. So I wouldn't mind putting a higher offer on this, knowing that I could probably subdivide that.
Yep.
So that's what we do. And, we'll take all these and, it's a lot of stuff and everything has like their numbers. Like I'll still mail a wetlands property, but if it's 50% or more, I'm going to
I
adjust
see.
my pricing way down, you know, things like that. Any power line easements, I could still mail it. I could still buy a power line easement, but I'm going to mail it way lower. So
True.
yeah, it's a lot. And once you do this, like this sheet this actually wasn't a lot of records. This is what, 1600? And we probably have, let me see if I can sort this. What is it?
What's the cost
Oh,
for the
2 minutes.
VA and roughly how much are they doing per hour? I'm just curious.
He scrubs 3 records per minute.
Okay.
So it's 350 a minute, 350 a minute, 350 an hour, and he does 3 records a minute.
$3.50 an hour. So that whole list almost cost you like $30 roughly, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Cost
30,
per record
yeah.
basis.
So he does 3 records a minute. So he could do in 60 minutes, he could do 180 records divided by 350.
You're at like just under 2 cents a record for scrubbing.
Right.
Manual scrubbing, which is that's actually not as nearly as. That's one thing I was kind of curious. That you stack that in conjunction with the scrubbing, or excuse me, with the cost of data for data tree. That's why I was like, I'm curious where the threshold actually. Because I'm assuming like once you realize you have to scrub a completely different way and it's a much more slow manual process. Like I bet I can probably get a VA up to probably like 600 to 800 records an hour on data tree. It's a much faster process. Not
Right,
as not as in depth, but it's much faster. And I'm just kind of curious, like with scrubbing combined with data costs, where does that threshold get moved to where it makes more sense to roll over from data tree over to land vision?
But you're only pulling the records you like. I'm
Yep.
pulling everything and I own that whole list.
That's true.
So I'm almost categorizing a whole entire county where you're just you're only pulling the data you want. So if you ever want to pull all the other things, you got to go pull everything, then cross-reference, then extract the stuff that's good whatever.
Point.
So there's a good they both work, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm mostly thinking like where does like because I'm not to the level, I'm not mailing enough yet to even justify land vision yet. It's like I'm not even close yet, honestly. Like I probably need to at least bare minimum double or probably triple my output before I can even consider like the cost of switching over and then also developing a whole new process in its place. Yeah. And then also factor in mailing costs and everything.
We almost shut down our business we almost shut down our business basically for 45 days to redo this.
Damn.
So it was like basically like I put a cold stop. I'm like, my AMs were annoyed because the record, a lot of the leads sucked recently and all this stuff. And I'm spending like my burn rate is like $9,000 something a month, almost 10 grand a month. And I'm like, stop, cold hard stop. No new mails going out. Let's fix it. Yeah. And that's what we did. We fixed everything, redid everything.
Full overhaul.
And here we are. Yeah. So, yeah. But I just got, and our first pieces went out from rebuilding our business like this just now. Our old model worked. It did work. I mean, this right here, this is almost 800K behind me in dirt of profit. So like it works, the old model. And there's still ones that I didn't put up there.
That's dirt from properties you sold?
Yeah. Each one of these is a jar of dirt. So I keep it at the APN and everything like that.
That's awesome.
I'm going to build a whole wall up here. I still have more dirt.
That's too funny. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even think about it.
3 more bags right here. And another one right here.
That's too funny.
They have to get. I have a rule that I don't work with a droner or a realtor unless they send me a bag of dirt from the land that they walk on. If they won't do that, I don't work with them. It's that simple.
That is too funny. That's a solid requirement that will.
Yeah. I wish I started it from the beginning, but like that's what I've been doing. So like, It's pretty crazy. So like it still works the way I was doing it, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
That
Like
is.
each one of these is, and you can see, dude, it looks so cool because every dirt's different. This is like
Yeah.
North Carolina. This is Surrey County, North Carolina, red dirt. This one right here is Wagner, South Carolina. It's very like sandy.
Huh.
And you got like Live Oak, Florida, right here, very sandy.
What a trip. That actually is pretty cool.
This one was this is another Wagner, South Carolina, extremely sandy. So this is like
Wow.
horse country. People, the horses love this area.
Really?
That's why,
Okay.
yeah, that's why it's like that. This one, yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's fun.
It's a nice reminder to walk into the office and remind yourself of the dirt you sold, the literal dirt you sold.
I have the APNs and I write down the profit on each one too. How much
That's
I made.
funny. That's too cool.
Yeah, it's going to improve and get better and better. So you'll see. Pretty cool.
That is.
I'm wondering why he's collecting spices. No, that's dirt, man. That's money behind me right there.
Yep.
I did this I've done like 400 flips, house flips. So I would collect the plank from every single house that I did, all different ones and everything like that. And I would write the thing on it. And it was like I had like a whole wall and like I had the floor done with it and stuff like that. And then I epoxied over it. It was really cool in my old office. And yeah, so I'm like, I'm gonna do the same thing with dirt, but just build a whole wall of dirt.
Wow. That's too cool. I like it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So awesome, guys. Dude, this is awesome. I'm so happy like you're willing to show this. This is like really cool. I know it's like not for everybody. It's very takes a lot of time. And you could do this manually. You could use Land Insights. You could get a VA to do it. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. Or you could just mail and still make money. It works either way, right?
Yep.
It depends on your budget, your timeline, and all that stuff. The thing about this business and what's great about it is there's 1,000 different ways to make money. Just pick one and do it. It's that simple.
Really
you know?
is.
That's it.
And on top of that, I will say the cool thing about this is it's something you can just do in your free time. It's too late to take calls. Everyone's asleep. You can be on their computer scrubbing. I've gotten to the point where, don't get me wrong, I did not start this way. I probably started at about 400 to 500 records an hour. I'm close to 1,000 an hour right now, on average. So like for me to build out a mailer I'm sending like 3,000-4,000 a month right now. For me to build out a mailer, it's like 3 or 4 hours, maybe 5 or 6 tops, It's really not too, and it's stuff I can just do in my free time, and you'll be shocked at how quickly it flies by. And the more you do it, the more you get the muscle, you'll fly through it. And it's just something it takes you 2 seconds and boop, 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 and it's going through, unchecking boxes, and you're good to go. Export. Another thing I wanted to say too, because I don't know if anyone saw that, when you export, I don't know if is it still showing? No, I don't think it's showing. When you export your data on DataTree, I think there's like I don't know if maybe it's just me and I don't have this issue, but I think there's a misconception that if you hit remove duplicates, it will wipe out your scrubbing list. I have not experienced that. So when you scrub and you go in, you hit remove duplicates, like test it on your computer, maybe with like 100 records, scrub them, and then hit remove duplicates. It should just take out a couple more records, anything that you might have missed. And that one I did it. I don't think I missed anything because we went through it so detailed. And it really wasn't that many records, but like on 1,000 records, I for sure missed like 5 or 6 that were duplicates. And also, like, as you guys saw, when I see duplicate parcels and I still want to mail them, I'm trying to pick the best one, because DataTree on its own will just remove it for you. And they're not going to pick which property, like just picks a random property and I'm mailing that person. So if I have control over it and I recognize it, I'm going to uncheck all the ones I would prefer not get mailed and mail the one that I would, and take that into my own hands rather than leaving up to an algorithm or whatever DataTree software decides which property I'm going to mail. So for whatever that's worth too. But I feel like everyone's talked about like, don't remove duplicates after you scrub on DataTree and it will ruin the data set and it'll just wipe it out. I've not experienced that. Test it for yourself though, but I have not had that issue.
Awesome. All right, guys, I got to run. My daughter has strike testing at karate, so I got to get there for her. But this is awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Reach out to Anthony if you have any questions in the Discord. And dude, thank you for showing us your whole thing. It was awesome.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it helps some people out.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Later.
Take it easy, man.